Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Pragmatic Bodybuilding. This, of course, is a series where I express a sensible and realistic approach to all things bodybuilding that's grounded in practical experience, not just on the theory. So, today I want to touch on rest between sets. And it might not sound like a big piece of the training puzzle, but for many, maybe you watching right now, it's an overlooked element in training that can completely change how effective your sessions are. Rest too little and your performance starts to drop off pretty fast. Rest too long and you lose momentum, rhythm, and sometimes the mental edge that helps you lock into your lifts. So in this video, I want to walk you through why rest between sets really does matter, why it's not just some empty space, and how I approach it in my own training. I'll also break down what I do between sets to stay productive and focused, and how I think about rest as an equal part of my training session. So we rest to recover, and of course, that's quite obvious. That goes without really saying. But recovery isn't just about letting your muscles ease up from the burn and letting your heart rate come down. It's also mental and emotional too. It's about your readiness to focus and execute again on the highest level. When you're doing exercises close to or at failure, so high effort, those sets pull a lot out of you. You're not just fatiguing the muscle, you're draining your overall performance capacity. If you rush your next set before you're ready, you're walking into it with incomplete recovery, and that's going to show up in lower output, subpar execution, and cumulative fatigue that doesn't really serve you too well. A couple of analogies I like to use to really drive home my point. The first one, let's take a world-class Olympic sprinter, runs down the track for 100 meters full blast. So we're talking 100% max effort. Now, imagine asking that sprinter to line up 30 seconds later and do it all over again. He's not running faster. He's not even matching what he just did. He needs time to physically recover and mentally reset to gear up for another explosive effort that's going to produce another world-class result. Same principle applies in the gym for us. If you're lifting hard, you've got to respect the recovery window. You're not sprinting on a track, but your system is still being tapped, and your body needs space to come back fresh for the next productive set. Performance is what we're really chasing. More load on the bar and or more reps. Same as the sprinter chasing faster rest times. We're not trying to chase fatigue, a burn, or the feeling of it, because fatigue isn't what drives our progress. Performance does. The second analogy I'll use to drive home my point even further, imagine a star NFL running back. He takes a handoff, breaks through the line, makes a cut at the second level, jukes a linebacker, shrugs off a tackle, then sprints 60 yards down the sideline. But a super fast safety ends up chasing him down from behind, drags him to the turf at the 20. That's still a full effort play. It's very explosive, very reactive, and it's definitely physically demanding. And what does a good coach do? He's going to pull that star running back out for a couple of plays because he knows he's totally spent. He's going to need a few minutes to catch his breath, to fully recover, so he can come back into the game and give the coach another high level burst later on in the game. So again, same thing applies in our training. If you want to lift with high effort, with intention, with focus, with quality execution, you've got to recover between your sets. That's how you train with purpose and how you get the most out of yourself and each set. Like I mentioned in my quality volume video, you're trying to make each set as efficient as possible. You want to throw perfect bullseyes. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you rest too long, you might start cooling down too much, and it's hard to get going again. Your muscles may or may not feel ready, but mentally you start drifting away. You start getting tapped out. The set loses its urgency. You go through the motions instead of staying locked in. So there's that balance, resting enough to bring down the fatigue, but not so much that you mentally check out. So the short answer is as much time as you need to perform with high output and high quality, like the world-class sprinter or the star running back. If you're not recovered enough to bring that same level of effort and precision, you're just piling on fatigue without getting much in return. You're not hitting those bullseyes. So here's what I recommend for myself and my athletes that I work with. For compound lifts, Some examples would be squats, hack squats, pendulum squats, leg presses, big hinge patterns like deadlifts, RDLs, and hip thrusts, all pulling patterns, such as horizontal rows and vertical pulls, and some pressing work like chest presses and overhead presses. For all those bigger type movements, I'm talking around 3 to 5 minutes in between your sets. Now, if you're pushing closer to failure or to failure, you might need to lean towards the higher end. And if you're cruising through a lighter session, let's say, maybe you're going towards the lower end. And if you happen to need more than 5 minutes because you're still gassed, I have no issue going above the range as needed. The goal again is to bring fatigue down so you can maintain performance and keep your training technique really, really sharp. And for the isolation lifts, such as arm work, delt raises, calf work, leg extensions, leg curls, and other exercises that aren't overly taxing, around 1 to 3 minutes will likely get the job done. But again, you should have the agency to take as much time as needed to ensure you're fully charged to perform the next set with max effort. So don't sacrifice performance just to move faster through a training session. Don't rush yourself. If your next set sees a big drop off in load and or reps, or your form isn't as solid because you rushed it, that set isn't high quality work. It's actually substandard work, just like the running back staying in the game for one too many plays to only get stuffed behind the line of scrimmage for a 5 yard loss. And if you find yourself shortening your rest times purposely just to squeeze in more training volume because you're insecure about your progress, ask yourself what kind of volume that really is. Because if it's low quality, low output, form compromised work, it's not helping you grow. It's likely just some fluff volume that's stroking your insecurities and or your overeagerness. So simply put, it's just adding stress with very little in return. Of course, there are some tools we can use to get high quality volume with less rest time, such as myo reps, drop sets, supersets, etc. But those tools I'll save for another video with the right context in mind. For this video, I'm alluding to high quality straight sets. And with that said, when you have enough rest between sets, it usually equates to higher quality. And when you can pair intensity with control and quality, that's where you get more with less sets. That's efficient training, that's smart training, that's quality volume. Now, let me walk you through what I personally do between sets. This is where a lot of people waste time or they zone out. But to me, the time between sets is still part of my session. It's not just a break, it's an actual opportunity. So after a hard set, I'm going to sit down. I take the load off my feet because sitting takes less energy than standing. And I'm not walking around the gym in between sets just to get my steps in. That's counterproductive to what I'm trying to do. And again, that's to fully recover from my next set. I take a few deep breaths to get the heart rate down and to calm myself, and then I hydrate. I'll watch the last set back and run through how it felt. Was my form clean? Did I stay in control of my tempo? Did I hit the right reps in reserve? If something felt off, I take a second to figure out what I need to revise. Nothing overly complicated. Just a quick scan to improve my performance. And again, same as the star running back and coach, that ensures the next play is really, really productive. I take a moment to focus and picture what I want the next set to look like. Smooth reps, solid tempo, make sure my bracing is tight, controlled effort. It's not about trying to amp myself up. It's about seeing the lift before it happens. This makes a huge difference when I actually get under load, as it definitely sets the tone. I'm not scrolling Instagram. I'm not texting between sets. I don't treat this as time for other distractions. Well, to be honest, sometimes I do fold my laundry or watch the game, but this is typically after I've chilled out and I've focused. Mostly though, I'm just really locked in and connected to what I'm trying to do in the next set because I know how I spend my time is going to influence my performance with that next set. Now, if you find yourself limiting your rest times because you're trying to rush through your sessions to get to other life responsibilities, you need to take a really hard look at how you're programming your training. If your schedule outside the gym is super tight and you're cutting rest periods just to get more sets done in less time because you're trying to optimize some arbitrary volume recommendations out of fear and or insecurities, that's a definite sign you likely need to change your programming. Because if you can't give yourself time to rest in order to maximize performance, the answer isn't to cram more in, it's to tighten up your programming and keep only the work that's actually driving your progress. Remember, you're chasing performance, not fatigue. You want high quality volume. You want that efficiency. Personally, I do a really good job programming my training for myself as well as for my athletes. I'm programming training around life and not the other way around. Chasing arbitrary recommendations sometimes causes more stress than what it's really worth. And if you need help with this, myself or any of our highly qualified coaches here at 3DMJ can set you up with realistic and productive programming. I'd rather do 2 high quality sets with full recovery than 4 or 5 rush sets that all underperform. Always remember, rest isn't wasted time. It's part of your fuel to sprint at your fastest. So resting between sets isn't a break from training. It's part of your training. It's where you recover, focus, and get yourself ready to attack the next set with the same level of intention and execution as the one before. So don't treat it as an afterthought. Use that time to breathe, hydrate, reflect, reset, and prepare. That's how you string together quality sets in the long run. And that's what's going to drive real progress, session after session, week after week, month after month, and year after year. If this helped shift your perspective on rest times or gave you something pragmatic to try, let me know in the comments. And if you want more content like this, my pragmatic approach to bodybuilding, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who's rushing their rest times. Thanks for your support and positivity, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.